Great. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Very interesting talk. To be honest, I was a bit nervous before because I was like, are we going to talk about regulations, cybersecurity governance? Does anybody knows anything about the Cyber Resilience Act? I mentioned that yesterday during dinner, and I heard, did cyber what? So I was a bit concerned, but yes, I already heard that you actually discussed that yesterday, and yes, we hope to make this interesting for you. So basically who we are, thank you. Yes, basically I am a lawyer, not technical background, but there you go. I am specialized in security matters. And unfortunately, we were not able to be here before yesterday, but I do believe that most of the people sitting around here are working with IT security. And what are you working on IT security? Mainly, yesterday I had a talk with somebody that is interested in open source. And it was very interesting to me that he told me he has a day job, but at night he works on open source with no legal entity, nobody paying for it. But I am sure that everybody in this room is working on IT security because you are reporting to somebody who has liability. You are part of an organization that is either selling products, you are manufacturing, even if it is not in the railway sector, in plenty of sectors that are now included in cybersecurity governance. And because it is a legal regulation, personal liability for management directors. And yes, so by the way, as mentioned before, we are part of Knorr-Bremse. And what is Knorr-Bremse doing? They are the market leaders in rail brake systems, but also in truck, in the automotive sector. And they have a global presence with over 30,000 employees around the world. Why is that important to realize in cybersecurity governance? We have a central team located out of Munich, even if I am based in Switzerland. Bern, I am a Swiss lawyer. My colleague is based in Madrid, and some of our colleagues are located in other places. But the point is that this cybersecurity central team needs to take care of a complex variety of regulations and also contractual, agreements. I am not sure how much you are involved in the contract negotiations, but everything you do at the end of the day ends up in a contract, and it says, are your products secure or not? And that's why having lawyers close to the product and close to the security team, somebody that talks your language, has proven to be very important for KB at least. So I always like to explain to my kids, what is KB doing? Basically, whenever we step into a train, anything that you can see inside, brakes, HVAC, sanitary, a lot of the components might be provided by KB. And that's where you see a diverse technology setting where my colleagues, the technical teams, have a very important job to make them secure, even if they are so diverse. And I think that is the beauty, and I'm really pleased to hear that you already touched upon these cybersecurity regulations. At the end of the day, cybersecurity governance is translated, and I just pull out a few regulations that I thought it is important. But at the end of the day, what board management and, what matters, anything that matters, not only in cybersecurity, but in any other sector or in any other teams, is risk management. At the end of the day, boards are asking how much do you need to do the minimum so that you are compliant, but that we can move forward. And these regulations really help the IT teams, the information security teams, to get budgets, to get certified for standards. But again, they are really basically about risk management, incident reporting, supply chain security. I don't know how it is for you, but I do. I'm not originally from the railway sector. Previously, I was employed by eBay. There was a NIS1 directive, but with the NIS2 directive, railway sector, very old, not many resources. You might know Deutsche Bahn sometimes is late. So let alone taking care of cybersecurity in such an old, complex systems. So supply chain security was maybe not the most priority before, but again, because of management personal liability, this comes up to the board, and they say, do you really need budget? What do you need? And that is sometimes difficult, to implement. Yes, and we have this Resilience Act. Again, very happy that you already touched up on that. It is all about risk management, incident reporting. I heard just before coming to this room, somebody talk about vulnerability management. And I also talked perhaps in some organizations, you are not thinking about a product compliance with the Cyber Resilience Act. Well, you might think about that if you did not already, and about perhaps selling vulnerability management services and patching vulnerabilities that were overlooked before. Yes, and I think the last point that I wanted, that I will highlight now, just looking at the timing, is the Product Liability Directive. And again, I mentioned liability of management boards, personal liability, but also liability of the products you are selling. Normally, lawyers try to limit the liability. They normally try to have a liability cap in contracts. But it is important to know for the security teams and for the lawyers who are not specialized in security that there is not a liability cap for products. So basically, if you are not taking care of security, from December next year, the Product Liability Directive will come into place, which states that vulnerability management needs to be provided for products. And that is a requirement that was not there before. And yes, and how that's technically implemented, that's how Lola will.
Yeah, okay, maybe you want to talk a little bit about the directives specific for rail?
Okay, yes. Maybe if that is important, the Interoperability Directive, the railway sector is highly regulated, and maybe something interesting is that security was not taken much into place. What in railway, since 100 years, what they all care about is that the brakes break, they break on time, but security was not really taken into account. Now, with the introduction of the Cyber Resilience Act, a whole train will require a CE marking, which was never before the case. And sometimes this Interoperability Directive that has been there for a long time clashes with the Cyber Resilience Act regulation. And that's where, again, the product security team have a hard job implementing this type of security matters.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's see how we deal with this in the organization. So, oops. Okay, so we are the Center of Competence for Product Cybersecurity in the Rail Division. I may not mention it every time, but keep in mind this is only for rail. So the Center of Competence for Product Security is led by the Chief Product Security Officer, who reports to the Product Security Steering Committee of Rail. This committee is chaired by a member of the executive board and includes all the managing directors and vice presidents of the different business units in rail. The COC holds the overall responsibility for policy definition and all let's say, policy accountability, and discharges the implementation responsibility to the cybersecurity managers and cybersecurity engineers in the business units. I will not go into the details of the BUs because of time, and I will focus on the areas in the COC. So we have a program management office. Of course, they deal with project management, but also support in the prioritization and selection of projects in accordance with the organizational goals. Then I'm going to jump to secure development services. Here we offer security services to all the business units, like security testing, vulnerability monitoring and handling, and also a PKI managed service. Capacity development, they are in charge of the security culture program with awareness campaigns and with trainings, both general and specialized. Commercial strategy and partnerships, they support different teams like merchant acquisitions, also sales in product security matters, and they are also actively participating in integrating security into different supply chain processes. Then we have legal and compliance with Amelia. They analyze all the legal requirements about cybersecurity and product security and help us resolve conflicts between laws, regulations, standards, contractual terms, of course, internal processes. Then governance and risk management. We have the responsibility of the overall definition of policies, processes, procedures, including product risk management. And we also oversee the implementation of the 62443 certification program. Here we have information security, corporate security, and our partners in the commercial vehicles division. These are the security organizations with which we have a strong collaboration, and we are already sharing some resources, and we are always looking for new ways, find opportunities and synergies to improve this cooperation. And how do we do that? And what frameworks do we use to comply with all the requirements that the regulations define? So we started by trying to allocate all the systems, applications, tasks between these three domains, IT, OT, and products. So it's more or less clear that all the engineering resources, planning, network, computers, anything as a service is in the IT domain. All the automation and control systems, the robots in the manufacturing plants and in the warehouses are in the OT domain. And then our own product services and applications fall into products and services. But there are others that fall in between two areas, like the security monitoring tool for the industrial automation and control systems, building automation, and also some physical access control can fall between IT and OT. Technical controls for the secure manufacturing of our own products and also the benches that are used at the end of the production line can fall between OT and product. And then all the tools that we are using in the secure development lifecycle, source code repositories, can fall between products and IT. Regarding the standards, here we are only showing the main ones because otherwise the list would be huge. But of course, we use the ISO 27000 family for the information security management system. We use the IC 62443-2-1 for the security program of all the operational technology. And we are using the 62443-4-1 for the definition of the secure development lifecycle of our products. And this is how we think that we can comply with the NIS2 directive requirements, which mainly affect IT and OT, also the overlaps, of course. And we can also fulfill the Cyber Resilience Act requirements, both processes and technical, of course, also with overlaps. And in case you are asking yourself what is in the middle of the picture, in the middle, of course, there is people. We need from the buy-in from the executive board until having a positive security culture that is integrated in the daily work of all the staff. Sorry, you were taking a picture? OK, no problem. Regarding railway safety and interoperability that Amelia talked before, we mentioned these two directives for interoperability and for safety, and there are some standards to comply with that. And they are more than 25 years old, because the railway safety standardization work started in the 90s. In 1999, I think it was the first edition of the EN 5126. This is the standard for the definition and demonstration of reliability, availability, maintainability, and safety. And in the following years, it was released the EN 5128. This is for software development. And the EN 5129, which is more focused on the safety of the communication. So this means that in railway, there is a deep-rooted safety culture, which is main goal is to preserve the integrity of the passengers, the workers, the goods, and the infrastructure. The mentality is very conservative and very rigorous. In the picture, you see the V model lifecycle defined in the EN 5126 for railway systems. The verification and validation activities in each of the phases is very meticulous because the goal is to minimize the risks, physical risks, and also the communication between the different organizations for engineering, operation, and maintenance is done through very well-established communication protocols and channels. And this cooperation is also based on a shared responsibility in case of incidents. So you can see this as a burden, but you can also see it as an advantage, because thanks to these standards, we have well-proven and sound development processes, which are a requirement in the 62443 as a basis to be extended with security practices. And also, there are a lot of testing activities throughout the whole life cycle, incremental testing from peer source code reviews, verification of requirements, and module testing, integration testing, until the system acceptance. So to some extent, the shift in left concept that it is now very popular has been in railways for 25 years. So now I would like to hand over back to Amelia for the takeaways.
Yes. So basically, I really like, what Lola mentioned about, aligning IT, OT, and product security. I think you did that for one conference at ENISA. That was the concept. But I think that is a very important message and key one for information security teams, not to work or to have a unified governance model. And here is align IT, OT, and product security, but I also like to add physical security. And of course, work in close collaboration with the sales teams, with the data protection organization, with the procurement organization because of supply chain security as well. Of course, one more of a key message from a lawyer that embed legal and regulatory requirements into security programs. It is really, we do see an advantage also in our industry. If the legal teams are involved early on in security-related projects, you do see a difference also while dealing with customers and also dealing internally in your own organizations. Yes, something Lola is very well active, for example, and her team in the development of international standards. The early on, as early as possible, that you are involved in the development of these standards. For example, in the Cyber Resilience Act, there are some standards that are being developed. I was introduced by Lola to this standards world, and that is true that a real difference can be made when we go there and we make influence and represent the interests of the companies in the development of these standards. And of course, cybersecurity is not at all only technical, but it is also about governance, law, and above all, collaborations, not only internally, but also with customers. It is very nice when you know the chief product security officer of one of the big customers, and they can call you directly, and you can just address requests. And because we are in railways, yes, resilient railways needs cross-disciplinary commitment. We all would like to step up in secure trains. And I think that was all what we wanted to share today.